may certainly fly, we may have to say goodbye, but your friendships never end.
When I'm down and blue, my heart goes back to this place to start anew. When I'm with you, I see color in everything they saw as gray. When I'm with you, my tomorrows are brighter than my yesterdays. All the world is fine and bright when I'm with you. No one else but you can change a soul like mine. When I'm down and blue, my heart goes back to this place to start anew. When I'm with you, I see color in everything they saw as gray. When I'm with you, my tomorrows are brighter than my yesterdays. All the world is nice and fine and bright, and everything's so right when I'm with you. When I'm with you, I see color in everything they saw as gray. When I'm with you, my tomorrows are brighter than my yesterdays. All the world is nice and fine and bright, and everything is so right. All the world is fine and bright when I'm with you. When I'm with you.
A minute of prayer at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for the forgiveness of sins, for peace in our country and the world, and the conservation of our forests. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is the hour of great mercy. At this time, our Lord Jesus Christ died on the cross and redeemed the world.
You died, Jesus, but the source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fountain of life, immeasurable divine mercy, cover the whole world and empty yourself out upon us. O blood and water, which flowed out from the heart of Jesus as a fountain of mercy for us, I trust in you. Holy God, Holy Mighty One, Holy Immortal One, have mercy on us and the whole world. Holy God, Holy Mighty One, Holy Immortal One, have mercy on us and the whole world. Holy God, Holy Mighty One, Holy Immortal One, have mercy on us and the whole world. Amen. Jesus, King of mercy, we trust in you.
This is DYDC-FM 104.7, your development campus radio, broadcasting from the beautiful campus of the Visayas State University, Visca, Baybay City, Leyte, Philippines.
VSU Radio, DYDC.
Ako si Von Philip Cesar Gonzalez Ibet, taga-bachelor's apartment sa VSU. Para nako, DYDC FM jug ko. Ikasabha, radyo kalambuan jud na.
Wow, Ben! Ninduta gud anang imong gidrawing. Nature man na oy. May pakapin balak pa gud ay. Para asa di ay na.
Practice pa ko ani Jen. Isubmit unya ni nako sa amo ang eskwelahan sa kahanginan or School on the Air.
Ha? Asa man na dapita? Aw, sa DYDC-FM, katong kabahin sa School on the Air o SOA on Visual Arts para sa mga junior ug senior high school teachers ug students sa MAPE ug Special Program in the Arts sa DepEd.
Correct lagi ka Jen.
Ako pa! Tigpaminawan baya og avid fan ko sa DYDC-FM 104.7 para malang di ay na sa Tagabaybay City ug Southern Leyte Schools Divisions. Pero, pwede gihapon ng uban makapaminaw sa DYDC kung ganahan sila. Libre ra.
Lagi, swerte gud ko nga naka-appeal ko ani. Taga East-West Center o EWC sa Honolulu, Hawaii, USA ang sponsor sa SOA on Visual Arts for Mental Health and Environment.
Mao ba? Gikan sa Amerika. Nahala, pag ayo-ayo migo. Tudloi unya ko sa imuha makatunan sa SOA ha. Bye.
DYDC FM.
Your Development Campus Radio.
The Visayas State University, through the Department of Development Communication and DYDC-FM 104.7, in partnership with the East-West Center, EWC, and Honolulu, Hawaii, USA, and the two schools divisions of the Department of Education, DepEd, Baybay City Schools Division in Leyte and Southern Leyte Schools Division, proudly presents
The School on the Air, or SOA on Visual Arts for Mental Health and Environment. A radio school program that will educate visual arts among teachers and students who are into music, arts, physical education, and health. MAPE and Special Program in the Arts, SPA of the DepEd as our SOA participants.
This is to improve their quality of education, create awareness, and promote mental health and well-being,
as well as environmental protection among our SOA participants.
SOA on Visual Arts for Mental Health and Environment.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Philippine Standard Time.
And now, please welcome the two radio hosts of this SOA program.
All right, good afternoon, SOA participants, and welcome to the third learning session of the School on the Air on Visual Arts for Mental Health and the Environment. Again, this is Buen Andrade.
And I'm Perlin Fernandez. Good afternoon to all of you.
Hello, Visayas State University, VSU, and to the SOA project team, the Department of Education, DepEd Baybay City and Southern Leyte Schools Divisions, MAPI, SPA teachers and students who are our SOA participants, and to everyone tuning in over DYDC 104.7 FM to this special radio program today. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you had a great weekend, no?
That's right, Buen. So last Friday, July 16, we had our second learning session with Ma'am Marwin Castañeda, our resource person on fostering mental well-being through arts, in particular, Buen, translating mental well-being through imaginative words. As what Ma'am Marwin discussed, one can express their feelings through written words like composing a poem. Also, Ma'am Marwin shared that art can be used as therapy, also called expressive therapy.
And also we learned that there are 4 modalities, no, in expressive therapy, if you guys can recall, no. These include music, dancing, and writing, no. In the last session, we focused on writing the haiku, no, or a Japanese-style poem. So if you can remember, the haiku is composed of 3 short lines that do not rhyme. It usually contains a 5, 7, 5 syllables respectively. So I think you already have like an idea, no, on what haiku is, and of course the how to express, no, your feelings through poetry.
That's right. Also, through art therapy activities, there are mental health benefits, and participants, no, such as self-discovery, self-esteem, emotional release, and stress release.
All right. And in the first learning session with Ma'am Marwen, we also learned the 6 basic emotions. No, if you can recall, we have number 1, happiness, fear, anger, sadness,
Unsa pa man buwan?
disgust, and surprise. And I'm sure our participants can now define, no, and differentiate what are stress, anxiety, and depression.
Right, so mga terminologies buwan, no, hinaot nga ilan ng nahibawan.
Yes.
And I'm sure our participants will not forget the simple expressive arts exercise during the first learning session with Ma'am Marwin. All right, so before we start our learning session today, let's first have a roll call, no? Dating gawi ta.
Dating gawi.
So starting with participants from Bye Bye City Schools divisions. Division, are you all ready? So kindly unmute your mic and open your cameras. Okay, atong tanawon ko naka-open na bang ilang cameras from Bye Bye City Schools division. Okay, are you all ready? So you'll say aloha again together. Ready?
Aloha.
All right, ready, get set, go. Ayun. So thank you so all right, aloha.
All right, let's do it one more time, though, but in unison. Okay?
Together. Let's do it together. Ready, get set, go. Aloha. All right. Virtual clap for them. What about the SOA participants from the Southern Lady Schools Division? Ready, get set, go. Aloha. All right. Virtual clap again for them. Great job, SOA participants.
Thank you so much, guys. By the way, we'd like to we'd like you to keep in touch with us on our official Facebook group by posting some photos and stories related to the SOA. So don't be shy, guys. Share with us what you're doing, and while you're participating with us, you can also share some photos or snapshots of
even your outputs.
Yes,
Labi na
of course.
outputs ninyo.
Yes. Okay, and also please be reminded that you only submit pre-test, post-test quizzes, pictures of your drawings and poetry, plus resource persons' evaluations on the Google Classroom. Right, so all questions and comments, kindly post it on our FB group. So I'm sure we're already done with our first week, no? So we are now in our second week, and if you have, if you have questions, so don't hesitate, no?
All right, to ask. So to those who have not yet answered the first quiz, please take time, to answer it, because it is a requirement for you to graduate in this school on the air. Okay, so get yourselves comfortable now. All right, ready na ba kaha ang tanan? Okay, so listen to our lesson for today. Make sure to take down notes and enjoy the first learning session of Module 2 entitled Environmental Conservation, to be presented by our subject matter expert on environmental protection, Ms. Ariana Luber.
Okay, and again, I would like to remind everyone to put their microphones on mute while the lesson is still going on. And again, if you have a note with you, or notepads or ball pen, just make sure to jot down notes, because our lesson for today, or our topic for today, is kind of scientific, technical, but still understandable, no? And I'm sure you will know more about this since we are talking about environmental protection.
All right. Okay, so let's have it here, our lesson.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you guys there. My name is Ariana, and I'm coming to you from
This
London
meeting is being
for
recorded.
your next few lessons. I'm here in one of the parks because I study the environment. In my career, I've gone all the way across the world, from Virginia to Singapore and to London to study nature. Today we'll go through some of the threats to nature and how to protect it. But first, can I show you guys something really cool? There's a little bumblebee fast asleep on this flower right here. finding cool things outside is one of the best parts of working in the environment. But unfortunately, it's getting a little bit dark outside, so I better head back. And now it's time to learn a little bit more about environmental protection. So let's get started. This is a picture of a kiwikiu. A kiwikiu is a bird that used to live all over the island of Maui in Hawaii. But now it only lives in a really small area towards the top of the mountain, and there's maybe only 300 of the birds left in the wild. The kiwikiu is in danger of going extinct. If it does go extinct, then we can never have kiwikiu come back. I used to work with these birds in Maui, so I'll be sharing with you some of my experiences with environmental protection of these kiwikiu throughout this lesson. So what are the biggest threats to the environment right now? I'll let you guys write down what you think on your piece of paper. I'll give you a hint. There are 3 big ones. Are you ready? Let's go through the first one. Did anyone write pollution? Oh, nice job. So pollution is the presence of harmful or poisonous substances in the environment. These harmful and poisonous substances are not supposed to be in our everyday environment, but sometimes humans put them there. When we do, it looks something like this, and we end up with air pollution, land pollution, and water pollution. So, where does this pollution come from, and why are humans contributing to it? On land and in the sea, a lot of the pollution comes from things like plastics. These plastics are found in nearly everything that we see and handle every day. From the packaging on your food to the bottle of your shampoo, and even almost all of our clothing is now made from plastics. Every time you throw one of these items away, rather than recycling, it can go to a landfill. If it doesn't make it to a landfill, sometimes it can end up in the mangroves or in water, and it will break down into little tiny pieces on the land or in the water that animals think is food, and they'll try to eat it. This can be really problematic for the animal's health. Chemicals can cause a lot of pollution as well. They can come from our sunscreen or bug spray that we put on our body. Can you think of anything else that might contribute to chemical pollution? If you eat an apple, that apple had loads of chemicals, from fertilizers to pesticides, that help the apple grow big and juicy while also keeping all of the bugs off of it. These chemicals can pollute all of our oceans and our land, and when they run off into the water, they can cause algae to bloom. When this algae blooms, a lot of the fish will die out. And that can be a problem for animals who eat fish, but also for humans. Another source of pollution is from vehicles, like cars. Vehicles and factories can pollute our air with lots of gases. An easy way to remember this is pollution can come from clothing, chemicals, and cars. Now, did anyone write climate change as one of their threats to the environment? Well done. So climate change is a change in weather patterns over a long period of time. So this might be stronger monsoon seasons with more and more rain over time. It could be a warmer atmosphere in the summer. And in some parts of the world, it might get colder and colder as well. But what are the causes of climate change? One of the big causes of climate change is the same thing that is one of our air polluters. This is the burning of fossil fuels, like gasoline. So when these fossil fuels are being burned, they enter into our atmosphere. When the sunlight enters our atmosphere, it heats up the planet. And anything that isn't absorbed by the planet is supposed to bounce back all the way into space. But because of all these gases, all of that heat ends up getting trapped underneath the layer of the gases, and it bounces back between that atmosphere layer and back to the Earth, and just heats up the entire planet. The ocean absorbs around 30% of the carbon dioxide that is released into the atmosphere from the burning of these fossil fuels. And this can be problematic for the ocean because it can make it more acidic. And if you think of any time you might have gotten a cut on your finger and maybe there was lemon juice that got into it, that acid from the lemon juice can burn your finger a little bit. And this is what is happening to the coral reefs. but it's enough acid in the water that some of the coral reefs can end up dying. Because so many fish in the ocean rely on these coral reefs to survive, it then becomes a big problem for the ocean, for anything that eats fish, and for us. When the planet is heating up, the glaciers and the ice at the North and the South Pole also heat up. And when they heat up, they melt. And this then makes the oceans way more filled with water, and it causes the sea levels to rise along the coasts of all of the land. The ocean is also becoming warmer, and that warming of the ocean can cause a lot more serious storms, like typhoons, or really intense monsoon seasons. This can be harmful for our plants and animals that now have to adjust to a whole new weather pattern that maybe they're not used to. Humans are really good at adjusting because we have nice big brains and we can think of lots of cool inventions to help us. But animals and plants are not that lucky, so they end up suffering. Now let's go on to our third big threat to the environment. Can anybody guess what that is? Well, it's biodiversity loss. So, biodiversity just means all of the different plants and animals that live on our planet in harmony with one another. So when we say biodiversity loss, it just means that all of those plants and animals are then dying. There are 6 really big causes for biodiversity loss. And I'm going to use the kiwikiu, the bird that I talked about at the beginning of this presentation, to help demonstrate each of these different drivers. So the first 2 drivers of biodiversity loss are pollution and climate change, which we've already talked about a little bit. So pollution, like I said earlier, can come from plastics or gases, and the plastics in the environment can be eaten by different animals who then might choke on it and die. Or it might fill their stomach and they can't digest it properly. This is not much of a problem for the kiwikiu because they're in a very remote environment. So there's not very many humans, and so there's not very much plastic pollution where they live. But pollution of the air that is causing climate change is a concern for the kiwikiu. So as the climate of the Hawaiian Islands is changing, in Maui there's a giant mountain and it's getting warmer and warmer the higher you go. In the past, the kiwikiu liked to live in a very cool forest climate. And they lived off of the plants that are in that cool, cloudy climate. But now, because the mountain is warming, because of all the pollution that we've put into our atmosphere, the habitat for the kiwikiu is getting smaller and smaller. They don't have the same plants and insects to eat. Another problem for biodiversity loss is hunting. Luckily, the kiwikiu hasn't really been hunted by humans, but some other birds in the Hawaiian Islands have. Some of the birds were used a long, long time ago when there were Hawaiian kings and queens, and they would be hunted for their feathers to make these brilliant capes. But other animals today, like the tiger or wolves, are hunted by humans, sometimes just as a trophy. Some people hunt because they need to eat, and that's okay. But if the hunting is just for a prize, should we still allow it? Especially if the animals are threatened? What do you guys think? The next three threats for biodiversity loss are the loss of habitat. And habitat for animals just means their homes. It's all of the area that they need to eat and live. For the kiwikiu, this is a really big problem. And I mentioned earlier that climate change is making their habitat much, much smaller. Another problem for the kiwikiu is that on one side of the island, lots of farmers brought cows and pigs and goats to the island, and they ate all of the trees and plants in the area. So now that part of the island is mostly just grass. And the kiwikiu can't make a nest in grass because they need a tree. Another massive threat to the kiwikiu is invasive species. So these are plants or animals that humans have brought to a new area that they didn't used to live in. In Maui, the kiwikiu are threatened by rats and mongoose that come and eat their eggs out of the nests. And they're also threatened by cats that people brought for pets that have then escaped into the forest, and now they like to hunt the kiwikiu in their nest. Another invasive species that's a big problem for the kiwikiu is the mosquito. Hawaii didn't used to have any mosquitoes, but now they're everywhere. And mosquitoes carry many diseases, as I'm sure you guys know. One of the diseases that they carry is called avian malaria. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt humans. We can't get it, but the birds can. And when they catch avian malaria from these mosquitoes, it's pretty much deadly. And with climate change, the mosquitoes can now go higher and higher up into the mountains. In the past, the mountain was too cold when you got high enough, and so the mosquitoes would die. But now, the mountain has warmed so the mosquitoes can go into the QEQ habitat, and then they can drink the QEQ blood and pass them avian malaria. And this is probably the biggest threat to the QEQ. But we have to make sure to remember that not all hope is lost. We can still definitely help to protect our environment. So what I want you to do now is think about what ways we can help out. If I think of everything I do in my day, what can I do to help limit pollution, prevent climate change, and help biodiversity? If I want to limit pollution, maybe I try to recycle any of my boxes, and maybe I'll try to turn off my lights every time I leave the room so I'm not using so much energy. Now, what about biodiversity loss? Maybe I can make more sustainable choices in the food that I buy. So I'm not contributing to habitat loss. Now it's your turn. What we're going to do now is take a marker, a pen, a pencil, or whatever you have with you, and a blank sheet of paper. We'll start by dividing the paper in two with a line right down the middle. On the left side, you can write when I wake up, when I'm at school, when I'm eating lunch, when I go home from school, and before I go to bed. On the right side, next to each time of the day, you're going to write one thing that you can do to reduce pollution, prevent climate change, or protect biodiversity. This can be anything. Nothing is off limits, as long as it's something that you think that you can do. For example, at lunchtime, I bring my lunch in a reusable box. That way, I'm not adding to any pollution by making any more trash. At the end, you'll have 5 things that you can do every day to protect the environment. Thank you guys for listening. See you guys next time.
we all can share. Listen to the music, see the sights to see. We got a very scenic university. VSU in my heart, VSU in my heart. Listen to the music, sing with us a song. VSU in my heart.
There is so much this school has given me. The sunsets and truths beside commodity. Oh, how can I repay?
Listen to the music, sing it cheer to cheer. At the Visayas State University. VSU in my heart, VSU in my heart. Listen to the music, sing with us a song. VSU in my heart.
Well, it's here at the Visayas State University.
VSU in my heart, VSU in my heart. Listen to the music, sing with us a song. VSU in my heart, VSU in my heart,
VSU in my heart.
All right, so there you have it, guys. The lesson, no?
Lesson 1 of
What-
Module 2.
Module 2, all about environmental protection. So, si Ma'am Daday, dili ko no conservation kay sayop na.
Environmental protection
Environmental
by,
protection
by
daw.
Miss Ariana Lower.
All right, so guys, no, did you learn something about the lesson for today, no, given to us by Miss Ariana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably we can ask our participants, Buwan, no? On their realizations about the lesson.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Can you have someone from, let's say, Baybay City Schools Division, student, no? What have you learned about the lesson for today, no?
About environmental protection.
Yes.
Okay, can we have from Bye City Division? Hello?
Okay, just click on the raise your hand, no? So that we can see and all right. So, murag wala pa man, no? And by the way, guys, since last meeting, no, we already started with the live discussion. So kindly prepare your questions
Of
later,
course.
no? Again, one student and one teacher for each school division to ask a question to our
resource
person
person.
today. Because Miss Ariana is also with us, no, here on Zoom.
So, samtang wala pa bueno, let's read some of the comments here. Okay, we have here a message coming from Bye City Division, Sir Jasper. Thanks, Ariana. And Southern Leyte Division naman. Thank you, Ma'am Ariana. God bless. Okay, coming from Ma'am Colleen. You're so cool, Ma'am Ariana. Dagang salamat po. Thank you so much, Ma'am Ariana. Okay.
All right. So just to also recap, no, on what we discussed for this afternoon. So actually there are major threats, no, to the environment. So one is pollution, climate change, and katong last ng giingon niya is biodiversity loss, no. So
Yes.
yeah. And under pollution, so we have land or sea pollution, and
Air pollution.
no? So sa land we have plastics.
Plastics.
As you can observe, no, we have a problem on plastic pollution because right now, no, our waterways, our seas have plastics, no, and then as what Ma'am Ariana said, no, it can be eaten by our wildlife, and it will affect, no, our ecosystem.
Yes, and we also have chemicals, Buwan, that come from agriculture and factories. Runs off into the water and pollutes it naman.
And sa pollution sa atong kahanginan or air, no, we have chemicals from vehicles and factories.
Factories.
All right. And for climate change, actually we have ano, mga problema sad, no? And fossil fuels, change in average conditions, as the temperature and the rainfall, no, in a region over a long period of time changes. So siguro before we experienced that it's kuha lang, no, our temperature is cool or cold,
Cooler,
but yeah, but now it's already becoming hotter, no?
That's right.
And maybe the causes for this, no, or according to Miss Ariana, is our fossil fuels, no, being burned and then entering
Our
atmosphere. Okay, and also the greenhouse effect, as what she shared to us, no. As you can see, no, the graphic about the greenhouse effect. Okay, and then of course, and last is the biodiversity loss. So, muna siya, no? From overexploitation, from pollution, of course, from climate change. No? Okay, and from invasive species.
And from habitat loss.
Yeah, and also, yapong share, no, all about the diseases that are caused by, for example, mosquitoes that can harm us and our wildlife, no?
Yes, and she also shared one, no, on the things that we can do to help protect our environment.
That's right. All right, so mingaw man.
Anybody from the Baybay City Division? Okay. Can you share some of the things that you've learned this afternoon?
So let's have siguro student from Baybay City Division. Sige.
Sige, from Baybay City
Give
Division.
a prize.
Kita'y manawag, Gwen. Mga mauwawon man sila.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh. Okay, we have
from
Baybay
City.
Yeah.
Baybay City Senior High School.
Okay.
I have learned that we must keep our environment clean and don't do such things that can harm our environment.
Okay.
So maybe you can expound more on that. No, what are the things that can harm our environment?
Pardon daw, sir. Pardon.
Yeah, so as you mentioned things that can harm the environment. So can you, what are the examples, no, of things that you know that you think can harm the environment?
We must throw our garbage in the trash can, and we don't have to burn the plastics because it can harm the ozone layer.
All right, very good, no?
Very good.
All
Thank you
right,
so much.
Virtual clap to our student from Baybay
City
City Senior High School, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have another
one.
Siguro, this time from Southern Leyte. A student as well.
Yes.
All right, anyone from yeah.
Hello po, good afternoon.
Yes, we have Jane. Good afternoon, Jane.
Yes po. The thing that I have learned from Miss Ariana Lower's lesson is not all hope is lost, and we can learn things new, and we can recycle things such as we can recycle things or garbages, and then turn off lights every time leaving the room to conserve energy. Moreover, make more sustainable choices in the food that we buy, just as Miss Ariana Lower's discussion. That's all.
All right.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jemima Jane Uba from Villa Jacinta High School. All right.
Okay.
All right. So how about from our teachers, from our dear teacher, if you have any questions or maybe clarifications, no, or reactions to what
Miss
Miss
Ariana
Ariana
presented.
presented.
Let's start from the Bye Bye City Division.
Okay, from Bye Bye City Division. All right, anyone from Bye Bye City Division, a teacher who can share or give a reaction, no, to what Miss Ariana discussed today. Okay, none at this moment. Maybe we can have someone. Oh, Nana. Okay. All right.
Or maybe we can have someone from the Southern Leyte Division, Buwan.
Sige.
Hello, Mom.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
From Southern Leyte.
No?
So, agahong na-learn sa among natunan karon is about how we should never take granted of the how we should never take granted of the nature that provided us with everything that we have need. We must take care of them because they have given us food and every desire that we have. We should never take granted of those things that has given us shelter and the provision we need.
All
That we
right.
must take care of them.
All right.
Very good. No, from
Southern Leyte.
Southern Leyte Division.
Thank you
How
so
about
much,
from
ma'am.
Bye Bye? From Bye Bye.
Can we have someone from Bye Bye? Nagpe-prepare. Murag na Ben. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, this is Mr. Jasper from Bye Bye City Division. First and foremost, what I've realized after the discussion is that as a steward of God's creation, it is always our primary job to take care our environment. And second thing is, it is also our duty to educate our co-students as a student also of the School on the Air project on how are we going to cascade every action that we need to share to others. And I guess this is also our main goal, that environment must be taken care always. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much,
Okay.
sir, for well said. No, your reaction of what you've learned today. Okay.
Okay.
By the way, we have questions.
Question?
Yeah.
Yes, we have a question here for our resource person, Miss Ariana. So, are there any other threats in our environment aside from the three mentioned a while ago?
Hi there.
Hello.
So, yes, there are many different threats to the environment. But the 6 that I mentioned with biodiversity loss are probably our biggest threats. So that's hunting or overexploitation, pollution, climate change, invasive species, habitat loss, and diseases. But with habitat loss, you also have agriculture and the development of cities. So that kind of is a big section right there, just in the loss of habitat and environment for wildlife.
All right. Thank you so much, Ariana, for answering the question on what are the biggest threat. And that's what you mentioned. No? It's actually the biodiversity loss, the biggest threat that we have. No? All right. Okay. Any other questions from our participants, from our students? So while we still have Miss Ariana, actually we will also be having Ariana on our next learning session, no? Okay. All right, from Miss Carmela, very beautiful, Miss Ariana.
Very beautiful.
All right.
Okay, so can we have question one, no, from our student from Southern Leyte Schools Division, since teacher mo to siya
Okay.
kanina.
All right. Okay, so I think wala na, no? Ikaw, Pearl, do you have a question from Ariana?
Okay, we have another question here. Can we consider humans as threat to our environment?
That's a good question, if you ask me.
That's a very good question because it's important that we consider ourselves part of our environment and not separate to the environment, because humans are all still animals too. But if we consider ourselves separate, then we're either only harming or helping rather than living in harmony with nature. So I'd say that humans cause a lot of the threats to the environment, but we also have a balance with nature that we just need to figure out where that balance is and how to maintain that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Miss
much for
Ariana.
that question, no, from.
Al Christian from Southern Leyte.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, so how about you, Perlin? Do you have a question?
I think okay na ko ato ba?
Okay.
Ikaw
I
man.
think I will have a question to Ma'am Ariana. No? So in the past, the human activity has been like after the industrial age, and with that, no, came the environmental impacts because of industrialization and all that, no, and compared to the last few hundred years. So, do you think with what we have right now, our technologies, if it still continues or if we don't do anything about it, will it affect us in the next, say, 50 years? Or if so, if we can just do some simple things, will it make a difference?
Definitely the simple things do make a difference. There's a lot of like bigger issues with companies and the way that we're getting our food and everything that every day most of us don't have a ton of control over. So it's important to be aware of these issues and be making as conscious decisions as you can. But that being said, our climate is changing very, very rapidly. And what we need to figure out now is to how to hold off the change of the climate as long as possible, and give ourselves a chance to figure out how to make better decisions and improve our technology to be helping the environment rather than just harming it.
Continuously
And I
harming
think I think there's a lot that's going on, a lot of scientists and business people as well that are trying to make a huge difference and figuring out ways to take carbon from the atmosphere and use it in different resources and so there are people who are working towards that, but we just need to figure out how to hold that time a little bit longer.
All right. So
Okay.
so in short, we have to do our part to hold that off and to in such a way that in the future, the technology will be more greener and we can take care of our environment as as long as we can still continue our the technologies that we have for the betterment of mankind as well. And so we must have to find a balance. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay to no,
Yes.
not too bag.
Thank you so much for that answer.
All right. We have another question here, Juan, coming from Southern Leyte.
Okay.
Again, no? How can we convince others to help our environment and protect it?
That's a really great question. So what I'm doing now is actually studying how do we communicate to everybody about our environment in the best way possible. And if you were talking to your friends or family about environmental protection, the best way to go about it is by using stories and asking questions to them as well, and understanding where people are coming from in their relationships with the environment. So if you have personal stories, my biggest personal story in terms of climate change was that in the Caribbean, there were all these big hurricanes, and my brother's wife had to leave the United States to go back to the Caribbean, and it separated their family because she needed to go back and help her family in the Caribbean. So you have personal stories like that. If climate change wasn't happening, she wouldn't have had to leave the United States. So it sometimes those just small personal stories can help make people understand that it's affecting everyone as well as our biodiversity.
All right.
Okay. And also, Ma'am Daddy said that is why we have this SOA to create awareness about environmental protection.
And of course, since our students are attending this school on the air, we hope that with this you can also cascade it, or you can also disseminate what you have learned to your classmates, your family, to your classes in the future, for our teachers who are participants of this SOA. All right, so any other questions?
How about from Bye City Division?
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, guys, for your questions. And again, this helps to discuss further the lessons that we have. Anyone from Bye? You can actually just type in your questions on our comment box.
Right, someone from Bye.
All right, so I think that's it. So thank you guys for your questions and for interacting with us. Thank you so much, Ms. Ariana, for gracing this learning session for today.
Yes. All right, so just a reminder of for our SOA participants, to those who are not yet in our Facebook group, please join us in our official Facebook group. That's School on the Air on Visual Arts for Mental Health and Environment. So everything you need to know on the Google Docs links to our quizzes will be uploaded in our FB group. And if you have questions, balik-balik na to isulte bueno. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to post them in our FB group. But all your submissions naman will be sent to your respective Google Classrooms for Bye City and Southern Leyte.
By the way, just to ask, have you guys already answered the first quiz? To those who have not yet answered, please do answer the quiz. Probably we'll be posting, what pa ba na-post, Pearl, ang itong link sa atong Facebook group?
I think we just posted it sa atong group chat.
Okay, sa atong group chat, yeah. So, I think that would be it for today, Again, kung wala na mo ilaing pangutana, Okay, thank you so much for
Thank you for your questions, guys, to those who have asked. And so that will be our format na buwan, for the succeeding learning sessions nato. So we'll ask them to ask questions and of course ang ilang learnings about sa lesson.
Okay. And before we end our third learning session, please be reminded to log on to your Zoom sessions ahead of time, starting 2:30 or 2:45 p.m. So you'll not be late in our class at 3 p.m. Every 3 p.m. gina siya mahigala.
Yes.
Bisag magka-problema tagamay, we start at 3 p.m. Yun, no?
All right. So see you in our fourth lesson on Wednesday.
July 21, no?
At exactly 3 in the afternoon. That's Philippine Standard Time. So Juan and participants, that wraps up our third learning session of our SOA on visual arts, particularly on environmental protection. I am Perlin Fernandez.
And I am Buan Andrade. See you then.
Only here at DWDC FM 104.7.
Thank you, aloha, and have a great day.
Bye. Thank you so much.
I was walking down the road.